Hello, PV fam. What's going on? It's your boy John Q coming at you with another one on the Emove Roadster. I know it's been a while since I dropped the video, and I just wanted to drop in and give you all an update on my experience with the Roadster thus far. I mean, to be more specific, I want to talk about the stability of the ride, how that beautiful carbon fiber steering column feels, and a few more things that I really love about the Emove Roadster. Okay, I've been riding the Roadster for 5 months now with my max outputs, but with my max power output settings on 85%, and with my slow start set at 3 for my front motor and 4 on my rear motor. I think those settings will eventually end up being my sweet spot for the Emove Roadster, and here's why. I'm almost 235 pounds with my gear. And with my slow start settings, I barely ever get that front wheel spin on startup, even when I press the throttle harder than I expected. And with my max output at 85%, the Emove Roadster still reaches a top speed of 60 miles per hour. More than fast enough for this old guy who just turned 54 years old a few days ago. Lately, I've been watching a lot of videos where a lot of attention has been given to top speed, draggy statistics, or which hyper scooter is faster than another one. But my main thing is making sure that I get longevity out of the scooters that I purchase. Man, these things are expensive. I mean, 5K for a scooter, and then I paid more than that for the Dualtron X2, but yet with my settings tweaked below the maximum output, I kind of feel confident that I'm not overstressing my controllers, or that I'm not, pushing my hyper scooter to the limit of actually burning out my controllers or my motors, or possibly getting in an accident, you know, when something malfunctions at a high speed, or I hit some kind of imperfection in the road. And mind you, the Emove Roadster's wheels are somewhat smaller than that of the Dualtron X2. So tweaking my settings has been a wonderful option to be able to have on the Emove Roadster. Oh, and I'm sure a lot of PV riders in the community have been holding on to the edge of their seats, watching Scooter Gang and this young rider named Kelvin on those insane highway, high speed, hyper scooter rides. I mean, I always cringe every time I see a hyper scooter in the midst of highway traffic going in and out of lanes at the speed of traffic. Well, on this ride, I did hit the highway for a few seconds, but it's definitely not something that I'll be doing a lot of. I promise you that. And I'm a true believer that before every ride, there should be a thorough pre-inspection of your scooter's bolts. Okay, I remember when I first set out to start riding hyper electric scooters, one of my ultimate goals was to always uh, have a large battery for range and enough power on tap to distance myself from busy traffic or to keep up with traffic. But I normally ride at a speed of around 45 to 55 miles per hour, respectfully. And a lot of the videos that you guys see me doing of those speed runs, it's normally when I first get my hyper scooter, and I want to test its limitations and my limitation. Because when you start riding hyper scooters, the limitation on how fast you can go is dependent upon your own personal humility and your own riding skill, in my opinion. Because I don't ride for everybody, I just ride for myself, and so I try not to overstep and tell other people how to ride, because everyone has different preferences, as well as uh, scooters that they ride, and their body weight is different than mine, and their physical conditioning may be different than mine. So that was my ultimate goal, to have a large battery to give me enough range and power on tap to pretty much evade cluttered traffic, etc. But on this trip, I pushed the Emove Roadster for 37 miles. And as you can see here, the stem on the Emove Roadster, and I'm cruising around about 30 miles per hour on this little stint, but the stem may looks in the video like it trembles a little bit or shakes a little bit, but that's just from the imperfections and in the terrain that I'm riding on. When you see that little bounciness, but I promise you when I tell you this stem is so stable that I'm actually in awe because it looks so thin and so and like it might be frail, but actually it's not. And actually, there's a feeling that I get when I'm riding the Emove Roadster that reminds me of riding my electric skateboard. I specifically my Trampa big bike board. It's long. It's long, about the same length as the Emove Roadster's deck. Maybe it's a little bit longer than the Emove Roadster's deck, of course, but it gives me the feeling like I can just take my hand off the steering wheel and stand, and get a skateboard stance and just ride this thing. But no, I'm not going to try that either. I'm not crazy, but that's how it feels because it feels like I'm riding a lightweight four-wheel electric skateboard. That's how stable those massive swing arms are that hold the tires to the road, and that is the magic behind the Emove Roadster stability, in my opinion. Those heavy duty swing arms at the bottom there. But the rest of that body, you can feel when you're riding the Emove Roadster how lightweight that carbon fiber frame is. Um, it's only when you're at high speeds that you notice how lightweight that carbon fiber frame is. And I've seen some guys testing out the customized version of the Emove Roadster that Voro Motors allow them to ride there at the facility, and I don't think it even compares to the actual version that you get when you order the Emove Roadster, because there's just much more stability in the longer frame and the higher steering column, in my opinion. And then the Magura brakes, the Magura MT5s, wow, those brakes are like butter. I mean, I very seldom have to worry about the disc rotors overheating and then the pads not catching them correctly. You know, the brakes work so perfect, and I've been in situations where I kind of came up behind cars a little bit too fast, and I had to really lock the back tire brakes in. And when I did so, I noticed that the slim, sleek design of the Emove Roadster allows me to swerve that back end with just a small twist, if I need to avoid running into something from the back whenever I'm coming up on a vehicle. And I had that to happen. I didn't have the camera, but I was just not paying attention the way that I should, and enjoying myself way too much. And I rolled up behind this car real fast, and I had to hit the brakes, but I was able to swerve off to the side of the road while sliding, and that was thanks to the Magura brakes that I had on the Emove Roadster. Had that been the nut brakes on the Dualtron X2 and the heavy weight of the Dualtron X2, I would have been right in the rear end of that vehicle and feeling so bad. So as far as that's concerned, awesome, and fully charged. I started my journey on this ride with 97.8 volts. And if you didn't know, the Emove Roadster, it comes with a nominal 84 volt battery. While I have all my max output settings at only 85%, it was still reaching 60 miles per hour with no lag from the beginning to the end of my ride. And I rode it pretty aggressively. The majority of my trips was in the 40s and 50s, the lower 50s, and but I had stints like this where I got down on it. And the terrain that I'm riding on here, as you can see, it's not smooth, even terrain. There were cracks in the road, and I could barely feel those cracks. I had my suspensions at their stiffest settings, and me once again at about 237, 238, maybe close to 240. I might as well say 240. Um, the rise was so stable, and it wasn't heavy on my feet. And the first couple of times that I rode the Emove Roadster, I felt a little fatigue in my hand because of those hard grips. Eventually, I realized that I had to kind of like loosen my grip just a little bit and allow the handlebar to rest in my hand with my fist closed around the grips and not squeeze it. Because before I was like holding on to dear life, because I said this thing got so much power. Let me hold on to dear life, and hold on for dear life, and that's pretty much how I was riding. But on this trip, I kind of got a feel of the comfort zone that exists for me riding on this machine, and how nimble it is as well. And here, I'm just cruising. I'm just cruising, getting a feel of how the Emove Roadster operates. Even though I had my gear mode setting in 3 or 4 here, I was still able to cruise comfortably. And this machine is so nimble that I can experiment with, my turning angles and do different things, that creative things that has improved my ability to ride the Emove Roadster. Oh, and I wanted to also touch back up on what I was saying earlier about the 85% max output setting that I have for the Emove Roadster, and how I experienced no power lag from the beginning to the end of my ride. And I rode pretty aggressively on this ride as well. And compared to my experience with the Dualtron X2, I mean, that was quite impressive. You know, After about 15 miles of aggressive riding on the X2, I generally notice a significant cutoff in the power, or the low voltage indicator starts to blink on and off to give me a friendly reminder that I'm approaching that walk of shame zone. However, after 2 years of riding the X2, I've still never completely depleted my battery on a ride. And I've taken rides on the Dualtron X2 as long as 40 miles, and we're still able to make it back to my destination. Mind you, I was low on battery, but never completely depleted my battery. And so 72-volt scooters are definitely beast mode when it comes to range. And this ride actually represents my first long ride on a hyper scooter with sine wave controllers. The ride was incredibly smooth, and I love the gentle progression of power I get each time I roll the throttle. I mean, it really takes a lot of fatigue off my legs when I don't have to constantly brace my stance every time I hit the throttle on takeoff. Like I have to do whenever I'm riding my X2, which has square wave controllers. So the Emove Roadster, it always inspires me to take longer rides with less fatigue in my body, and I'm pretty sure that's something that every rider would don't mind having the luxury of, a scooter that has such a solid platform that it invites a more comfortable riding experience. Okay, guys, this was a pretty long video, so I'm gonna break it down into parts. And next time, I'll be sharing a little bit of my drone footage with you guys. The old guy has been learning how to fly the DJI Mini Pro 4, I think it's called, and that's been an amazing experience as well. So until the next time, this is your boy John Q saying peace out. Wear your safety gear and keep it charged up and ready for the road at all times. Peace out.